Warp Core Breach, Episode 23, Looking Ahead.
Captain, enemy ships decloaking off our port bow.
They're charging weapons!
Shields up, red alert!
They're firing!
Containment failure detected. Warp core breach imminent.
Welcome to Warp Core Breach, Episode 23. On this episode, Nick and David take the day off. Griffin revisits the Kobayashi Maru. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a Husnock ship? Natasha finds the good in Wave 0. And then we all make an appointment with the top brass. That's right, it's time for Top Admirals.
Warning. Warp core breach detected.
I'm David Montgomery, and here's my co-host, the Janeway, to my Riker.
How would you like a trip to Romulus?
That sounds quite excellent. Let's go!
Engage.
Off we go. Yeah, I'm going to stop singing right there. All right. So Nick and I are basically taking the episode off because we did our whole Wave 22 review. So if you want more of us, go listen to that. As for the rest of this show, contributors, you got this, right?
Thumbs up.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, wait. Yeah, they got it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
I saw hands. Hands? Yeah. Okay.
I see the odd tentacle and other worldly appendage. That counts, right?
Sure. Cthulhu, put your tentacle down.
All of them.
Go back to where you came from. Odo, go back in the jar. Quark, stop selling root beer to Cardassians.
You know how it tickles their
it.
nose.
Worf, no targ hunting on the bridge.
Save it for the promenade. All right, let's put this to bed before David gets too carried away. Oh,
okay,
wait.
fine.
He
Too
just
late.
got carried away.
We'll be back for our top admirals, though. Don't worry.
What was it? The Tellurian hook spiders with legs half a meter long? One of them just got David. Carrying him away. Well, I'd say, hey.
I feel like we need a hook for the comedian, the cane.
Yeah, vaudeville.
Now for real, we're tossing it over to the contributors.
Hello again, players, to the would-be nices. The independent faction hasn't been getting a lot of love in the recent waves, so we're going to give them something they need, a battleship. Because other than the Soong, they don't have a heavy-hitting tank. This will be another next-gen ship, but we'll have to take some liberties since it wasn't completely fleshed out for our needs in its lone episode. I don't know how WizKids would handle it, but we'll just make some logical assumptions and create a Husnock warship. This ship is beefy. 6 attack and agility, 5 hull, 6 shields for 36 points. Only has a 90 front arc, since that's all we saw. Standard action bar like a Fed, 1 crew, 2 tech, 2 weapons, generic drops a shield and a tech. Maneuvers like the Sovereign with speed 2 red turns. Text: you may target lock a ship at range 1 in your forward firing arc as a free action. Now that's pretty useful when you'll be throwing 7 dice. Now comes our assumption since we didn't see captain or crew, so we'll take some cues from other factions. Husnock Commander. 5 points, skill 7, 1 elite talent, independent, unique. Disable this card to avoid spinning a target lock to fire a secondary weapon. You may then spin the target lock to re-roll the results of the attack. If you re-roll, place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. A bit of ship tech synergy there. Now, one thing we did learn is that the Husnock have a hideous intelligence, so that'll be our first elite talent. 6 points, independent, unique. During the planning phase, after all maneuvers have been set, discard this card to target up to 3 ships within range 1 to 2. Look at the dials of all the ships. You may change the speed of each ship by 1. You cannot select a red maneuver or a maneuver not on the ship's dial. For each ship's dial changed after the first, place an auxiliary power token by your ship. You may change your ship's maneuver. That last line is separate, so if nothing else, you can always just change your maneuver, but this card's power is setting up your opponent. That's why it's such a pricey discard. Our second elite talent will be Raising Fire, another 6-point unique. When attacking with your primary weapon, discard this card and disable at least 2 shields. For each pair of shields disabled, target an enemy ship in your forward firing arc. Immediately make an attack against each ship. You cannot take or receive any free actions or make any other attacks this round. Free attacks of at least 6 dice each is easily worth a 6-point discard. Our crew will be a Husnock warrior, 3 points independent. Action, discard this card to target a ship at range 1. Roll 3 attack dice against the target ship. These dice cannot be modified, and the target ship rolls no defense. For each critical result, disable a shield on the target. If all shields become disabled, also disable the captain or one of the crew of your choice on the target ship. Basically, a way to set a ship up for the attack round. Tech time. Configuration upgrade, 5 points, non-unique. Add +1 to your ship's hull and shield. Every time you defend, you may place 1 auxiliary power token next to your ship to reroll 1 blank result up to 2 times. This upgrade costs +4 points for any ship other than a Husnock ship. No ship can have more than 1 configuration upgrade. The fluff here being that when the Enterprise encountered the Husnock ship again, it was bigger and badder. Full speed, 3-point tech, non-unique. If you reveal straight maneuver this round, you may disable this card to add 1 to your ship's speed. This maneuver becomes a white maneuver. Great way to make that 6 red into a 7 white. Last tech will be feedback wave, 4 points, non-unique. When an attack is declared against your ship, and you have any active shields, you may immediately discard this card before the attack is rolled to cancel 1 damage from the attack and inflict the remaining damage on the attacking ship instead of yours. Your ship rolls no defense dice against this attack. All critical results are treated as hits. This card costs +3 points for any ship other than a Husnock ship. Basically a modified version of Borg Feedback Pulse. Finally, 2 weapons, starting with Anti-Proton Beam. 6 attack, 6 points, range 1 to 2. Attack. Spins your target lock and place 3 time tokens on this card. You may convert 1 battle station to a hit result, and you may reroll 1 blank result. You may fire at an enemy ship in range and not in your forward firing arc with -3 attack dice. And Particle Weapon. 4 attack, 5 points, range 1. Attack. Disable this card and place an auxiliary power token beside your ship to make this attack. Instead of inflicting damage, each critical result disables a shield on the target ship and is resolved before any hits. If all of the target ship's shields are disabled, any remaining critical results damage the hull as normal. The opposing ship rolls no defense against this attack. You may fire this weapon in any direction. And that's our ship. Feel free to try it out and make changes. Be sure to let us know what changes you think make the ship more playable while keeping it balanced. In the meantime, keep thinking outside that box.
Shaka, when the walls fell.
Welcome to the Academy, cadets. The Academy is a segment dedicated to Faction Peer Star Trek Attack Wing. My name is John Knapp, and I'll be your instructor for this segment, a segment reviewing some Faction Peer strategies in the months to come. The goal of this segment is not a how-to build segment. Despite the title, you can find your build list plenty of other places. It's about reviewing strategies for each faction in context of a Faction Peer environment. That being said, take heart, comrades. Even if you don't play in a Faction Peer environment, there might still be something useful you can glean from my occasional rant. My inaugural topic to launch this segment will be captains. Specifically, 3 captains that I've found immensely useful within a Faction Peer environment, but I don't see on many lists outside of it. To start with, Chakotay, the intrepid first officer of the USS Voyager. What's not to love? It gives a Federation ship the ability to use 2 crew actions in 1 turn. With the slew of good crew options, why does he not get any love? The answers are middling level of captain skill and action economy. Why use him when you can use Picard 9? Picard 9 gets you battle stations, and you can still use him to get an action with Sulu, like everyone does, to get the +2 defense dice. My response is, you can build better than that. Pair him with Hoodriker. So you get Chakotay, Hoodriker, that gets you +2 defense dice whenever Chakotay is disabled. And another crew action, say Sulu or Defiance Worf. They roll -2 attack dice if they're at range 1. Could be useful. Moving on, Captain Kern from the Coronar expansion with the Maktavar talent. It may seem gloomy to field a captain with a death wish, but pair him with Rataran Worf, and this happy warrior gives you 3 more attack dice on a turn of your choosing. Put him on something like the Chitang with a built-in reroll, and that can really add up to something. Now granted, it's no Negvar, but then again, the Negvar's probably out carrying around Martok 8, or tanky Core 6, like the Negvar does. Lastly, Liviana Charvanek. I don't see her utilized very often. I've used her a bunch as a Romulan captain. I always have a ship that I don't have a Terrace for, or a Shinzon. And that's where she comes in. She offers a lot of utility with throwing an Admiral on her. She's almost Shinzon's captain skill. But the real amazing thing happens when you put something like Romulan helmsmen and Romulan security officers with her. Because you have a potential, and I've actually had this happen, where you get tons of free ability triggers. You roll a battle station, you don't disable your Romulan security officer or helmsman. Great, so I can use him again without having to disable him. Next turn, 5 turns later. Doesn't matter. She adds utility, which some of the Romulan captains, granted they're not all Denatra, and they're not all Shinzon, and they're certainly not all Terrace, but you could do worse than Liviana Charvanek. Thank you for listening to the Academy, and keep on rolling them hits and crits.
All right, I wanted to do a little special segment just on my own, and that is some 2016 predictions. Now, as you know, I'm a little tied in, but none of this is based on insider knowledge. So, with that in mind, here are my 10 predictions that I think will happen in Star Trek Attack Wing in 2016. We will revisit them at the end of the year and see how many of them I got right. Number 1. At least one new faction will be introduced to the game. In 2015, we got Xindi. In 2016, who knows what we get? I don't have anything specifically in mind, but anything's possible. Number 2. We will see a Klingon Civil War OP series. Now, either that's the fall of 2016 or announced for the spring of 2017. But I feel like we will have it, or it will be announced at some point in 2016. Number 3. A Borg ship will be in the winning list at Worlds. I'm stepping out on a limb there, but I think it's going to happen. Number 4. A new big model will be announced. So in the same vein of Deep Space Nine, the Borg Cube, the other Borg Cube with the sphere port, the Xindi weapon, I'm thinking the Planet Killer, the Doomsday Machine, something like that. Maybe it's Space Station K7. I don't know. I hope it's one of those two. But maybe it's a crystalline entity. Maybe it's something else. But I think it'll be announced. I don't know that it'll come out for holiday of 2016. But maybe we'll know something. Number 5. We still won't have Founders by the end of the year. So that means all the waves that will come out, none of them will have a Founder card in them. A Changeling, other than Odo. Nothing with Founders. Number 6. At least one out of main canon ship is introduced to the game. So something from Star Trek Online or the books. Something like that happens. And that trend will continue into 2017. Number 7. A separate but integratable game is made based on the new movies. So something like X-Wing did with the new Force Awakens core set, where that's almost a standalone, but kind of its own thing, and then it can also be mixed and matched with what you already have. Kind of a 7B or a 7A. Maybe we get a new core set. Number 8. Faction or scenario-based card packs are released either in addition to or instead of some waves. Don't know, but willing to take a shot there. Number 9. At least one sculpt goes wonky, like the Tong, backwards nacelles, misprinted nacelles, wrong coloration, something like that happens, and we'll see what happens. Number 10. Serious changes happen, either in terms of massive repointing of ships and other cards, a version 1.5, or a whole new 2.0 with some kind of conversion kit. One of those two things is going to happen sometime in 2016 or be announced in 2016, probably after Worlds or at Worlds. So Origins 2016. That's my call. So those are my predictions. Let me know what you think. They'll be posted in the community and all over the place. But those are my thoughts. Thanks, guys.
Hi, I'm Dave Griffin. Today we'll be talking about one of the most iconic missions in Star Trek Attack Wing, the Kobayashi Maru scenario. It comes with the original USS Enterprise, the non-refit, I believe. It replicates the Wrath of Khan Kobayashi Maru simulation at the beginning of the movie. The Klingons have 80 SP, which are unrestricted except that it must have at least one Klingon ship. The Federation has 50 SP, including one Constitution-class ship with one captain and any number of upgrades. This presumably would include the refit Constitution, since that was the actual ship on screen. The placement is an objective token representing the Kobayashi Maru 12 inches from the north edge of the map and centered. The Klingons start on the north edge. The Federation starts on the south edge. There are 9 mission tokens on the board edge and 3 mission tokens on the objective token. Now, the special rules are, at the end of each end phase, you remove 1 mission token from the side of the board. That represents turns. After 9 turns, the scenario is over, and if the Federation has not won by then, the Klingons win. There is also a new Federation action. If the Federation ship was within range 1 to 2 of the objective token, that's the Kobayashi Maru, then if it is not cloaked, it may disable all of its shields and grab 1 mission token from the objective token and place it on its ship card. The objective of the Federation is to exit the south edge of the board with 3 mission tokens by the end of turn 9. All the Klingons got to do is keep that from happening. Now, this is a classic scenario heavily weighted against the Enterprise. In fact, on screen they called it the no-win scenario. Kirk had to win by cheating, although how he cheated was different from the Star Trek books versus the J.J. Abrams movies. For the Klingon side, the tactics are relatively simple. You've got 80 points to 50 points, and you've got some excellent Klingon ships which fly very well bare. Put a couple of Vorchas or even 3 Vorchas with almost no upgrades, or 2 Vorchas and a Katinga with some upgrades. It's a relatively easy thing to do the build, which is why this is often given to a new player, while the experienced player has to play the Federation ship. But the Federation has some additional options. The first option is the card trick tactic and build, and the best I've ever seen that done is the review of Kobayashi Maru in the State of the Federation podcast. I recommend you go listen to that podcast if you want to see just what a tricky build you can make. A build which basically excels by preventing the Klingons from even firing at the Federation under certain circumstances while it's getting those mission tokens, at least 2 of them. Another possibility is a heavy defensive build. There's a lot of possibilities today. There's a system upgrade, which gives you a tech and an extra shield. There's Unimatrix shielding, which gives you 2 shields. There's the Hood Riker, which gives you a battle stations conversion and an extra defense dice. Shelby, which lets you re-roll a blank. Multi-adaptive shields, which gives you an additional defense dice. There's all kinds of possibilities. If you wanted to go this route, you could even employ certain captains, which give you defense die for every crew you have. So there's a lot of possibilities on making a really defensive ship. What you can't do is the Janeway prize, which is a heavily defensive standard Constitution class, because that prevents you from doing actions outside the action bar, and you need to do the Federation action to grab tokens from the objective token. A third possibility is the combat build. Now, you might think you have no chance with a 50-point ship against 3 Klingons, and that is typically the case. But these days, things are a little different in the Federation faction. You have Type 8 phasers, upgraded phasers, and the refit Enterprise itself, which lets you, as an action, get up to 2 more combat dice by disabling shields. you can create some awful bad alpha strikes against a Klingon ship. There's even tactical station. It's certainly possible to try to destroy your enemy, and there are composite builds between the heavily defensive and the heavily combat-oriented, which make you very difficult to kill while at the same time giving you fairly severe numbers of high-quality combat dice. There is certainly the possibility of being able to destroy those Klingon ships, but all three of these possibilities are maybe not no-win scenarios, but certainly very difficult. I will say that your best bet is probably to use my favorite resource in the world, the IndieFed Fleet Captain, because that will let you have superior maneuvering to all those Klingon ships, which lets you potentially take advantage of their biggest weakness, and that is their 90-degree forward arc. With the IndieFed Fleet Captain and smart, lucky piloting, you might just be able to stay out of the arc of a lot of those Klingons while you're racing up to try to grab the tokens from the Kobayashi Maru. And if you can destroy all three Klingon ships within the first 6 turns, or first 5 turns or so, you might just be able to destroy them and get off the board. So all kinds of possibilities are in this mission. And even though if you're the Federation player, your odds are very low that you're going to win it, there's something magical about the no-win scenario, about the doomed heroes. So it's likely to be a fun scenario anyway. If you haven't played this mission, by all means, go play it. And if you have played this mission, go back and play it again, because with all the new stuff that the Federation faction has, the rules have definitely changed for that 150-point Federation ship. Thanks, and I'll see you next week. Oh, by the way, I would rate this as 4 stars. It's one of the best missions they've ever done, I think. I've had more fun on this mission than almost any other. Thanks.
Are you tired of always building to win?
Do you love playing but struggle to build fleets?
Do you struggle to defeat the guy who has everything?
Do you wish you could play the game without being so serious?
Then we've got the segment for you.
This is Natasha.
And Dave. And you're listening to...
Dude, it's just a game.
Alright, Natasha. We've got a new intro. It's a new year. So what do you have in store for us?
Well, David, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you ran Captain Toreth in your fleet?
Oh gosh, it's been so long I can't even tell you.
When was the last time anybody else played Captain Toreth in their fleet?
At least a year?
Do you think anybody even remembers that card?
Probably, but I'd be hard-pressed to tell you.
Well, I think they don't. And I think it's because we have so many cards and so many new cool things that people forget about the old stuff. For the next 25 episodes or so, we're going to go on a scavenger hunt.
Ooh, yay, I love scavenger hunts.
We're going to start with Wave 0 and go all the way to whatever wave is current at the time. And we're going to find cards that got overlooked or don't get played, have become obscure, or have become better with the newer stuff.
So, just for clarification, I can't find Picard 9, right?
Well, no, I wouldn't.
Because everybody's talking about him?
Well, we're looking for cards that don't get played. We gave you Toreth for free. What's another one from the starter set?
Would Nudok work?
Right, so Captain Nudok probably also doesn't get played very often, but they're good captains and they have interesting abilities, and I think it'll be just a good place to go to find some interesting and new things to take note of.
Sounds like a fun adventure. I'm looking forward to finding the next hidden gem to put into my fleet.
Not if I use it first.
I'm giving you the death glare right now, just so you know.
Alright, so that's the plan. We'll start at Wave 0 next episode. Wave 0 will take 2 episodes, but after that it'll be about a wave an episode. There might be some random bonus episodes for prize ships or the like. But we'll we'll definitely get you some new resources, some things to use for the game. And we'll look forward to a great new year.
Sounds good to me. Do I still get to be my annoying self and highlight the super good things and the cool ways that you can combo cards and all of that? And
Only if I can strangle you. Because remember, dude, it's just a game.
And now it's time for the Warp Core Breach Top 3. We count them up from 3 to 1, and then we toss it over to our contributors, so you get the best bang for your buck. This week's Top 3, Top Admirals.
Alright, so, what is an Admiral exactly? Well, an Admiral is a non-upgrade that assists your captain by boosting or possibly even diminishing his captain's skill, possibly adding an elite talent slot, and giving an ability that your entire fleet can take advantage of through a fleet action. Only one ship per round can make use of this, which is why they have a fleet action token, and should anything happen to your captain, your Admiral may become a captain.
We like Admirals.
Yeah, they're fun.
Though most Federation Admirals were pretty corrupt.
And a little squishy, too.
Yeah.
A soft around the midsection.
So, funny story. Nick and I both made our top lists independent, and we have 2 of the same. And Nick didn't really rank his list, so here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give my number 3 that's different than Nick's list, and then we're going to kind of mesh everything together from there.
Yeah, once you hear what my 3 are, you'll probably understand why I didn't put them in any particular order, because they have a unifying theme, and it's situational as to which one is better at any given point.
I certainly understood once I heard him. So without further ado, my number 3, Admiral Decker.
Yeah.
So I just love the ability for Decker to take an action and do a damage to a ship.
Hell yeah.
Or even use it on a friendly ship to get that extra attack die and take a damage, because, sometimes an extra attack die is worth a damage if it's going to put you in a position where you're able to finish a ship off.
Mm-hmm.
But more so, Decker is here because he allows you to do damage in the activation phase rather than the combat phase.
And just so everyone here is on the same page, Admiral Matt Decker came with the OP prize USS Intrepid. He's a -1 skill Admiral with a cost of 1 talent slot, and his fleet action states, target a ship within range 1 of your ship, including your ship. Target ship gains +1 attack die this round and suffers 1 damage to its hull. So, given it says target a ship, that's friendly or enemy, which is what David was getting at. You can target yourself for the attack boost, or you could target the enemy for the damage.
Yeah, just be very careful about targeting enemy ships if you're not going to kill them.
Yeah, you don't want to give them a leg up.
Though if you have multiple abilities that will target an enemy ship in the activation phase, like maybe Bioship Omega Pilot, then Decker works pretty well with that. So, yeah, Decker, very good Admiral, and we like what he brings.
I'm all for Tim damage, as I call it. Monty Python fans and Magic the Gathering players will understand what I mean by that.
Yeah, I'm with you. So, Nick, start us off with maybe the obscure nature of your Admiral, the one that folks wouldn't expect.
Well, that would be Admiral Black. He came with the ISS Avenger, that's the mirror pseudo Enterprise NX. For 3 cost, he gives you a +1 Captain Skill boost, an elite talent slot, and his fleet action says, perform a sensor echo action with a 1 straight maneuver template, even if your ship is not cloaked or does not have the sensor echo icon on its action bar. Each time you defend this round during the modified defense dice step, you may re-roll one of your blank results. Place an auxiliary power token beside your ship. Now, extra defense dice is nice, but really what I'm getting at with this one is the sensor echo. I'm all about extra and possibly free movement. This one costs the action, but how often can you actually allow yourself to go sideways? Especially when you're not a cloaker. So, Admiral Black is my first one. Now, given what I've said, you can probably guess where the next two are. Those next two are Admiral Forrest and Admiral Q.
And that is my order. So Forrest is my number 2 and Q is my number 1.
Right.
So Forrest came on the Federation Enterprise NX.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, action, perform an additional 1 maneuver, straight, bank, or turn.
What makes that just totally amazing is it doesn't have to be on your dial because it declares you gain a 1 straight, 1 bank, or 1 turn. So you just get to do it.
Right. And so if you have it, it follows the color. If you don't have it, it's white.
Right.
And that's really good, especially for ships that don't have much maneuverability.
Yeah, like on Voyager that doesn't have a 1 straight, or the Prometheus that doesn't have the 1 bank.
Or the 1 turn.
Agreed. Most ships don't have a 1 turn unless they're like shuttlecraft or fighters.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Now, granted, it's an action, but again, an action to do that extra move, especially now that Fleet Captain is out of this game, that might be putting you in that position you need to actually get a shot and your opponent to not shoot at you. Mm-hmm. And that's going to make a huge difference.
Oh yeah, like we all saw what happened with the Scout Cube just moving all over the map during the Worlds.
Yeah, granted, that's more of a ability of the Scout Cube banked in, but also combined with the Fleet Captain.
I'm just calling out the value of extra movement.
Yeah, I'm with you. Extra move in any form is really good as long as you're not losing an attack, and that's why other cards are just terrible.
Right.
But here, you're just getting that extra move, and it's 6 options.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, 5 options.
There you go.
You can only go 1 straight. You can't go 1 backwards.
That's unfortunate. Because, even though technically it's a straight 1 piece, it's called 1 reverse in the game. So it would have to call out the word reverse in order to grant you a backwards motion.
Yeah, or spin. How cool would it be if you could do 1 spin?
Oh, nice.
Anyways, we can all dream, right?
That brings us to the Star Trek versus Loki, the goofball, the trickster, the fun guy that just loves to get in your hair, Admiral Q. He is from the Q Continuum Grand Prize pack. He costs 1, -1 to Captain Skill, because, hey, he's going to ruffle some feathers. He's going to make things a little more challenging, so even Picard is going to scratch his scalp just a wee bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, he says, fleet action. Rotate your ship 180 degrees. Place a number of auxiliary power tokens beside your ship equal to the speed of the maneuver you revealed this round. So if you've performed a 1 straight, or a 1 bank, or a 1 turn, that's 1 ox. If you're on, say, Voyager, for example, and you shot ahead with a 6, you get your 180, but you're going to soak up 6 auxiliary power tokens.
Don't do that. No. Please don't do that.
Now, might not be so bad on something like the Tiny Prize. You blast forward 4, you whip around, and you just soak some tokens that you don't really care about. But then again, you won't be able to use the action again because his ability costs you an action.
Yeah.
So you're probably not going to be doing that too often. But in most cases, just a 180 is all you need, and 1 ox token is very easy to manage. Especially if you're just doing 1 greens the whole time. You can just keep it going every turn if you really wanted to. So
you certainly can.
Yeah, this guy came in very handy, not only in casual games, but even in some of the OPs. So it either helped me place near the top or place in the top ranking slot.
Well, and there's been so many times where I've gone, if only I had a come about.
Yeah.
And of course I'm not running Q those days, and I'm like, I need Q. And the best part about Q, he will only cost you 1 point ever, because he does not pay faction penalty for going on a non-Q ship, because there are no Q ships, and that's just the way the Q Continuum faction works.
They go wherever the hell they want. They're Q.
Yep. So, that's the great thing about Q. He's 1 point on every single ship in the game.
So if you don't have another Admiral that you absolutely must have in your fleet, it doesn't matter whether you're playing mixed or pure. It doesn't matter at all. You can stick him in there if you've got the free point, just for the contingency where you might use him. Like, honestly, how often have you done a build and you found you had at least a point left over? You might want to save that for your initiative, or you can just spend it for this guy. And honestly, I'd rather have the opportunity to do a come about whenever I need to.
I would too. Now, before we toss it over to the contributors, I hear you sitting there asking, all right, what about Mendak? And I'm going, great captain, great admiral. Just missed my list. But you know what? You can take him as a captain.
Mm-hmm.
And he still functions really, really well as a captain.
Yes.
Because he allows you to target other ships with his free battle station.
Yeah, like most of the admirals, when they're dumbed down to their captain form, lose their ability to affect ships fleet-wide. They usually are locked down to their own ship. But Mendak still specifies that you can affect friendly ship or your own. So having him drop down from just +2 captain skill booster for 4 points to a captain of 6 captain skill points of his own is actually pretty good.
Yeah. Now, certainly worthwhile to run as an admiral, and nobody's going to tell you otherwise, because, hey, good admiral. Now, I also hear you saying, what about Goma Dread?
Yeah,
and I'm gonna,
one other one. Still good as a captain.
In fact, better as a captain. Because there are more ways to boost his captain skill, and then he becomes more effective. And there's ways to save him as a captain, so he becomes repeatable.
Yeah, because as an admiral, it's just set 6 or less, or 7 or higher for its ability. But as a captain, he's moddable. You can do a lot more with him. You can get it to the point where he basically can't lose.
Right, and that's even scarier.
Oh, yeah.
So those two captains, Mendak and Madred, are very good, better as captains than as admirals in my book. But if you want to call them great admirals, certainly not going to argue with you. In fact, I support you because they are my number 4 and 5 in some order. I just don't want to pick there. But, yeah, that was my short list. But 2 that I wanted to specifically address because I know people would call it out. And as much as I love hearing from people, I don't want to hear the hate mail there.
Yeah, and I just want to mention my runner-up, and that's Mirror Admiral Worf, which allows you to get the free attack with hull values of 3 or less, especially when you're dealing with the ships that have like the improved deflector screens, the systems upgrades, the advanced weaponry, Type 8 phasers, all those goodies that boost them up. You can have those small ships that can have some quite powerful punch, and Worf gives them the opportunity to hit again. So that's awesome. But go ahead.
Worf is even scarier now with Type 8 and upgraded phasers. Like
exactly.
If he targets, say, a USS Defiant doing that,
that
would be pretty good.
Sam, or standard Defiant starts out at 3. You can have it up to 5 in no time, and then you're getting it 2 attacks in 1 round. Whew.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Worf is still up there. He's another one that I considered, and I like. I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah, personally, though, I just find the extra mobility is far more effective of ensuring that you either get your shot or the other guy can't shoot you. I find that a little more valuable. But then again, it's all situational, so let's see what kind of mileage you guys get out of it. What do you have for us?
Hello again, players. Would Be Nice is here. There are several good Admirals on my list. I've used some, had some used against me. Others I just really want to use because I think their ability is that good. Usually when I see my opponents running an Admiral, I'll say, interesting, or I see what you're doing. But there's one Admiral, played as Captain or Admiral, that strikes fear because I know it's going to wreck a ship. Maybe my fleet, and whatever synergy I've tried to build. Gol Madrid. This guy is just brutal. He'll wipe out a low captain who you brought specifically for their ability. As an Admiral, he has a good shot at taking out a high captain. And as a captain, he can be beefed up in skill to the point where he takes out almost any opposing captain without effort. Pair him with Lee Nollis, you win. Or against that, just surrender, save an hour of your life.
Hello everybody, welcome back. This is Christopher, aka Classico, aka Mr. Classico of the Holo Novel. And this week we were asked what our favorite Admiral was. And I have to say, for me, that answer is twofold. Objectively, I would have to say Mandak, mainly because I love playing Drumlins. They are maybe my favorite faction to play at the moment, and Mandak brought such nice little presents to the table. He added so much to the Romulan faction. Of course, considering that I like to play faction pure a lot. But again, that's the objective answer, but following my heart and my own subjectivity, I would have to say my favorite Admiral in the game is actually Mirror Worf. And that goes back to when I started playing OPs, and my friendly local game store had this kind of unique format that they were running. We were playing suggested rules format, but we were playing faction pure and without blind pack. Basically meaning we had all the points available within the suggested rules format, so 3+ ships and all that, to build our own faction pure fleets. And I ended up running a mirror fleet in those events, consisting of 5 mirror defines, all of them painted up nicely with the Terran Empire color scheme, so blacks and yellows, and it was very nice. And trust me, when you run a 5 mirror defined fleet, your best friend in the game is Admiral Worf, because he just adds that little bit of extra firepower to the game that really makes a fleet like that shine and stand out in the battlefield. So yes, well, I would have to say Mandak would be my favorite Admiral. The prize still goes to Admiral Worf. Try him out and play many mirror defines. It is a lot of fun.
Hello, this is Steven Stott with Ready to Play Gaming down in Columbia, South Carolina. Which Admiral is my best Admiral, or what you consider the top Admiral? Well, for me, I guess it would depend on obviously which one I'm using. And I say that because, I play Vulcans a lot. So the Loss actually ends up on my usual list of Admirals that I utilize, especially when I'm playing faction pure with the Vulcans. Another Admiral, though, that I think is key, probably top in my book, will of course be none other than James Tiberius Kirk. Admiral Kirk has that action where you are able to disable any upgrade, and that can be key when you're in a game and you need to really thwart your enemy's moves. For example, use Kirk to disable cheat death, and you nullify that person's ability to come back to life if you're in a close pinch and you're about to take him out. The other thing, of course, that I like about Kirk is he's a +2 to your captain's skill. That doesn't hurt either. Anyway, this is Steve Stott from Ready to Play down in Columbia, South Carolina, hoping that all your rolls are hits and evades. Have a great day. Bye.
Hi everyone, this is Not Picard from the Faction Report, and my top Admiral. Tough one. I think the Admiral that I use the most is Mendak, because he gives battle stations to a fleet that doesn't usually have battle stations. He also does something which I think Admirals should do, and that is benefit a ship which he himself is not on, other than by being able to use the action for multiple ships. So he's the perfect Admiral to stick on a support ship, particularly something like the Vo or the Romulan Science Vessel. He can sit back outside of the fire, hand out battle stations tokens to other ships, improving their dice efficiency, which I really like, even improving their defense efficiency. which is something that battle stations tokens don't get used for a lot, but it's certainly an option there. So I'd say Mendak, probably my top Admiral card at the moment. We'll see. There are some interesting ones come out recently, so we'll see if that's still the case in 6 months' time. Anyway, at the moment, top Admiral, Mendak.
Hello everyone, it's Natasha from Dude, It's Just a Game. My top Admiral is Gul Madred. Gul Madred allows you to remove the captain of one of your opponent's ships. Sometimes you have to do a little bit of work, but you're able to do it. And what that does is that really can put a wrench in the workings of their strategy, and if you target the correct ship, you can actually completely disable what they're trying to do. And I think that's really what an Admiral is for. It just kind of gives your fleet that oomph. There aren't enough cards out there that cause problems for your opponent as much as help you. And so that's one of the things I love about Gul Madred, is it's all about messing with what your opponent's trying to do. So that's why I love Gul Madred. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
Hi, this is Dave Griffin. Today we're talking about our favorite admirals, and for me as a Federation player, my favorite admiral, the one I use the most, is without a doubt Admiral Forrest. He gives you an additional maneuver, a one straight, a one bank, or a one turn at the cost of an action. That's not quite as good as the Indy-Fed Fleet Captain, but it sure gives you some options that you don't have otherwise. When he's on a ship like the Galaxy that's usually somewhat crippled and doing turns, it can make all the difference in making the ship a good playing ship and not so good a playing ship. So that's my favorite, Admiral Forrest.
Thank you guys for sticking with us on Weird Episode. The release date for Wave 22 caught us a little bit by surprise.
No kidding.
But I think we're all glad to see product coming out quickly. I was personally anticipating the end of the month, so I'm glad to get it 2.5 weeks early.
No kidding.
Yeah, but that's how we get a wave review out, and that's how I do tons of work in a week and edit like a madman. But,
we always knew you were a madman. Who knew you could edit?
That is still questionable some days. But hey, I do what I can. And,
send your hate mail to howsmyediting@biteme.com.
I should get that as a domain.
I know, right?
That would be great. It's like, how's my driving?
Yeah,
Warp
exactly.
Core breach in 10.
I don't care.
9. 8.
All right.
7.
But you know what? It's
6,
best to end on laughter.
5,
so on that note...
4.
This is Nick.
3.
And this is David.
2.
Ejecting the core.
Warp core ejected.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.
Welcome to Warp Brain Fart.